When I was hitting the power locks, this door was just making a rrr, rrr sound, which sounded like a motor running inside, which it was. It's the door lock actuator broken. And this is from a 2006 Mustang on the passenger side door. Probably for all the years that this is a similar model, at least from 2005 to 2007. And at the end of the video, I'm going to show you how to get it out of the car. If all you want to know is how to repair this, it takes a T9 Torx. Once those 4 screws are out, you just pull that off. And I think sometimes this plastic piece breaks too. I think I saw another guy who had that, but that was not the problem on mine. On mine, this pinion gear stripped. Pulled out the motor. Yeah, so to get it out, just grab it on that end and this end. Yeah, so what's the tight part is these little plugs that stick in to the motor on the bottom side. So what the deal is here is the way I found it was like that. And that's the fix if you run it really fast, is all you do is take this pinion off and turn it around, put it on the other way. So with this little catches, that's how it normally works, on this gear, it obviously, you can see it just stripped the gear down. But what's nice is this is really loose on here. You can just turn that around, and there's plenty of teeth on it to connect it to this other gear here that moves the lock actuator. So it'll work just fine if you just turn it around and snap her back in.
Nice.
And then make sure that this has the plug side of the motor facing down, or it won't go back together.
Makes sense.
So
how long do you think that'll last?
I think it's basically as good as new, because the wear and tear part is still going to be this on the gear, the brake on the gear, or the catch on the gear.
So now you don't have to buy a new one.
We'll see in another 60,000 miles. This took me 60,000 miles to break this one, so hopefully. First I'm going to take off the door panel so that we can get to the lock actuator. I'm going to take it off and see what's going on inside. Okay, so there's 2 Torx bolts on the door, one inside here. In order to get to this one, you have to take this little panel out of the back, which you get to by taking a screwdriver and just pulling it out a little bit, and it should just snap out like that. So there's little snaps like that. That might be tighter on yours. I pulled this out a couple of times so it loosens it up. And then this one here, so that reveals that Torx and this Torx right there. So to get that off, T27. And then that one. Okay, and then the next thing is this guy pulls out, and that's so you can unplug. So generally I can just take my thumb in there and pull, and it'll just unsnap. These are just little snaps like that.
Got it.
And then you do that so you can unhook the wire. Make sure you get this one here too. Here. You see that hole right there? Mm-hmm. This has to come off too, this part up here. This is also the same kind of snap, so you can really just get your fingers under the side a little bit and start pulling it off. The car just snaps together. Look at it carefully back here. So there's a wire here that you have to unhook. It connects to the locks, and then one for the wire, or the speakers, right here. See that one right there? Mm-hmm. You just squeeze in the little tabs and pull them out. Needle nose pliers to get into cable for the door latch. Squeeze it with pliers. I have to turn it this way, and it'll just go right through the hole. There we go. And then you just pull that part out, but not the cable. The cable comes up through the slot, and then this ball comes out the end. And then you can just pull the door handle, or the whole door panel off. So to get the lock actuator out, to do that, you can pull this plastic back. You just take this yellow plastic piece and snap it off like that. And then you can pull this metal rod out of the hole there. And then 3 additional Torx holding the whole thing to the door. This is the only reason I'm using this, is because I can get more leverage with it than a screwdriver. You could also put it on a socket. Okay, now it's loose in the door. There's a couple of additional things that have to come off. There's 2 plugs on the lock actuator. It just comes off. And then there's another one. It's a black one on the back side right there. Can you see that? And you can pull it out.
Good.
And that one came off a little easier. But that's what that looks like. Squeeze that in. There is an additional tricky thing that actually connects to the outside door handle. In order to get it off, and snap it off like that. So this is what I just removed. It's like, it looks like that, and then there's a rod with threads on it going through there normally. And in order to get it out, all you have to do is lift up this side. This is the actual actuator right here. This black part right here, none of the rest of it. This is actually really easy to get off that thing. That just has to come up over a little bump, and then you just slide it off like that.
Nice.
I'm gonna show you how to open it. It takes a T9 Torx. There's 4 screws on here. Once those 4 screws are out, you just pull that off. And it works by just moving this. It moves this lever back and forth, and this lever controls everything else. I think sometimes this plastic piece breaks too. I think I saw another guy who had that, but that was not the problem on mine. On mine, this pinion gear stripped. But what I did is pulled out the motor. Yeah, so to get it out, just grab it on that end and this end. Yeah, so what's the tight part is these little plugs that stick in to the motor on the bottom side. So the rest of it's not tight, there's no latch or anything. So what the deal is here is the way I found it was like that. And that's the fix if you run it really fast, is all you do is take this pinion off and turn it around. Put it on the other way. So with this little catches, that's how it normally works, on this gear, it obviously you can see it just stripped the gear down. But what's nice is this is really loose on here. You can just turn that around, and there's plenty of teeth on it to connect it to this other gear here that moves the lock actuator. So it'll work just fine if you just turn it around and snap her back in.
Nice.
And then make sure that this has the plug side of the motor facing down, or it won't go back together.
Makes sense.
So
how long do you think that'll last?
I think it's basically as good as new, because the wear and tear part is still going to be this on the gear, the brake on the gear, or the catch on the gear.
So now you don't have to buy a new one.
We'll see in another 60,000 miles. This took me 60,000 miles to break this one. Very easy to put back together.
So you want to put it back together?
Let's put it back together.
Okay.
As fast as I can. Okay, so this goes back by just sliding right in the little slots for it. It's like built right there for it. I know, shocking. And then it just snaps into place. Oh, you have to make sure that this is in that hole. That goes, this little plastic nub goes through the white plastic there. Let's see if I can show you how to get this back on. The threads, the bar that's coming down, the rod. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So that goes inside the yellow plastic there. And ideally, you remember how far up it was when you took it out. Mine was about there. If the door handle on the outside doesn't work, once you put it back together, then you'll have to reposition it, but it's not too picky. And then you just snap the yellow plastic thing down. All right, then the wires go back together, and the black one goes to the one in the back, and the gray one goes to the front. Make sure this yellow thing's on the right side. Stick that in the hole, and snap it back like that. Screw the door latch back to the door. So you want to tighten them down. Before I do that, activate the power locks and see if it still makes that grinding noise, and I bet it won't. But yeah, you want to make sure the door handles work too. Hooray! So now I'm going to just tighten these up. Reroute the plastic. And putting it back together, make sure you get all the wires So there's the door lock switch wire, the interior door handle cable, which goes down like that, and then around, and then guide the lock mechanism back into the hole in the door, and then slowly align the door back on. Actually, I totally missed. There we go. The torque's back in first. .9/32 socket. Nice and loose at first. Probably hand tighten these guys or you might strip them out. Yeah, let's put the plastic pieces back on. So this guy, make sure you plug in the cable first. Put the cable in kind of the slot. Make sure it's lined up. Got this one here. Goes back in. The window one, or the top of the window. Inside the door handle latch. It basically just goes like that. Snaps right back in there. And that's it!
Yay!
Oh, you want to make sure your door opens and shuts again. Make sure I didn't break anything. The moments of truth.
Woohoo!
Oh, the power locks though.
Uh-huh. What about those?
Let's listen. Let's see if it works. So before it was going whirr, whirr, and now it's working again. Hooray!
Good job.